All right.
Yeah. So Rick has a high res monitor. He's got a that he's using, I
Yeah,
think.
ultra high definition.
And so if you use original size and you've got a standard, it's going to come up, as Jerry says, 400%. So, but if you do fit the screen, it'll come up, it'll shrink it down to proportionate. So
The lossless JPEG, the things you can do with that, you can join a left and right image, which sounds like what we do anyway for doing alignment. Join left, right, left images, decompose side by side image. So if you've got a stereo pair as a single JPEG that you have maybe downloaded from the internet or something, you can get the left and right image separated, and you can do it in a batch. That's what this is all about. You can rotate the images 90, 180, 270. And rotation auto, I guess you're expecting it to know how to rotate it. But in this lossless JPEG menu here, it's not changing the image in any way. It may be joining two together, splitting two up, rotating it, but you're not changing it as far as there's no cropping, there's no changing the brightness or the color saturation or anything else. So this is probably the easiest of the batch menu items to work with. And you can select some of the images, select all the images, and the buttons at the bottom, convert selected files, convert all files. And of course, you need to specify a folder you want to put them in. It's going to come up with whatever the last folder you used last time you saved something or last time you opened something, I think. So you usually have to specify which folder it is. Under the file and multi-conversion, quite a few more choices here. You have to tell it what the input type is, which means they all have to be the same to do this. Side by side, above, below, interlaced, anaglyph, left, right, left, independent, left, right. And an MPO is an independent left, right. So if you have an MPO, that's what you choose. Then you have to give it an output type, side by side. Well, every output type and every input type, well, certain input types, but every output type is there that you have normally when you go to save a single file. Side by side, over, under, everything else, every kind of anaglyph, it's all there.
Except the one that you've been making recently with the universal plus anaglyph, right?
Right, right. That one is probably eventually will be in there, considering that clubs are using that type now in their Zoom meetings, and that's the only way to have a meeting. So I think it's just a matter of time before Masuji puts that in there. This actually has MPO in it. When you normally just save a single pair after you align it, MPO is not in there in save. You have to go into the menu that says save as MPO. It's a separate menu, or use the keyboard shortcuts. And then the output file setting, it's what you already have in there. I've got mine at 98. I think it ranges from about, I don't know what the low is, 50 or something like that, up to 99. There's a lot of things you can do in a batch alignment. They're under adjustment, quite a few things, under edit.
Rick,
More things, yes.
I don't understand, what's left, right, left? As opposed to left, right.
That's 3 images in a row, left and then a right and then a left.
And then the same left again?
Yes. That's
Well,
what we've been doing in the meetings where we have anaglyph in a big picture at the top, and at the bottom, there's 3 other images. It's a left, a right, and a left. That's so you can free view or use a viewer to look at left, right, parallel, or look cross-eyed at the second and third one, which is right, left.
Oh,
So whether you look parallel, free view, or cross-eyed, you can do it.
huh.
So auto alignment, if you have a lot of pictures you've just shot and you want to see a little better alignment, just to review it, you can do a batch of auto alignment. I've never considered that to be a finished alignment. I like to go one at a time and carefully place my stereo window, see if I need to crop to make the picture better. So I've done it a few times with auto alignment in a batch, and that was just to take a quick look, make sure all the lefts and rights are present, and so I don't get a mismatch and a pair. And once in a while I get if I really hurry and snap the picture before the cameras are ready, sometimes I'll get a bad synchronization, and I can see that very easily and just eliminate those. Value alignment, and then next to it there's a box that says set value. That one's got me confused. This is the kind of information you get when you align left and right image for a stereo pair. StereoPhoto Maker tells me how far the alignment was off, how far it had to move it vertically or horizontally, whether it had to rotate it or anything like that. I'm not sure how you would know what kind of numbers to put in here, especially for a batch alignment. You're not just working with one picture. So if anybody's got any ideas.
When you click on set value, what comes up? What values are you trying to set?
Well, the box is open now. Do you see this?
Yes.
Well, let me move it over here. Maybe you can't read it. I don't know. Rotation, degrees. That's left and right. Everything's left and right. Barrel, vertical perspective, horizontal perspective, image size, position horizontally and vertically. That wouldn't be left and right, but
maybe
I've not
if you
used it before, and I don't know how to use that part.
Maybe if you have a known discrepancy, a known misalignment between 2 cameras, you could set that. I don't know why you'd prefer that to an auto alignment, but maybe that's why it's there.
Well, maybe it takes auto alignment longer to get it aligned, and you can do the batch alignment to get it fairly close and walk away and then come back later and work on it. I don't know. Auto crop after adjustment, that's the same thing that's in the preferences that you can do to all your images when you align them anyway. So you get nice even edges, especially if there's a rotation, you'll clip off the corners if you don't do an auto crop, or you can manually crop it, but that's just extra work. Auto crop only crops out what's absolutely necessary to get a finished alignment with even edges. Sharpen, a lot of people use that. I never use it myself. It's got a default value of 20, put whatever you want in there. Auto color adjustment is like what's in the menu. You pick either the left or the right image as your base, and then the other image changes to try and match it. I guess that could come in pretty handy in a batch situation. If you've got two cameras, you're outdoor shooting, you got one set on sunlight and you forgot to set the other one and it's on fluorescent light or incandescent light or something like that. Then you can try and change it to the correct lighting of the other camera and do that in a batch. The gamma, I kind of like to look at every picture, decide if it needs that or not.
Rick, I have a question, Lee Pratt.
Okay.
The images that I see that are yours are not stereo pairs. They're just different images. Why aren't you looking at a folder that has left, right, left, right, left, right images?
Well, those are just images from a left folder. Some of these things you can do as far as color adjustment. Well, no, that you need left to right for that. Yeah, most of these things you do need. I'll tell you what, Lee, that was just the last folder I had open.
Okay.
But that's something that I can make this bigger. All right, now we got some stereo pairs. Where was I at? Gamma. Okay, in the edit, this one's got me very confused also, crop. I'm not sure what the 4 numbers represent. I suspected it meant number of pixels from the left, right, top, and bottom. I don't know what the order would be. I tried it. I put in like a 200, a 50, 100, and left one at 0, and it didn't crop anything. So actually, I tried that with a single image out of that folder I was just in, Lee. So maybe that's why, maybe it only works on stereo pictures. But you got to figure out what it actually means. But the only application I could come up with where you would really want to do this cropping in a batch like this is if you got a folder of images, stereo images, that are all the same number of pixels, and say you had so many pixels across the bottom for a title, and you wanted to take the titles off of all of them, that would work. That's if these 4 numbers are a pixel count from the edges. Not sure that it is, but resize, that's pretty straightforward. You get telling how many pixels wide, how many pixels high. If you check keep designated size, it'll either crop it, keep the exact pixel count by adding borders where if it's not a, if you go on a 16:9 ratio and your picture's not 16:9, it'll fill it in with black. Absolute, that's a new one. I had not seen that one before. Anybody want to guess at that one?
I think that actually changes the dimensions. It like skews your picture. I think I tried that once and it just stretched the image in one direction and I never used it again.
Okay.
Actually, you want to keep the ratio of height to depth. I'm not sure that it tells you you can do that.
I'm sorry, you said absolute. Where is that in the multi-conversion? I still can't see your screen. I'm trying to work off my own SPM.
Okay, it's under edit. under crop, it says resize, and then there's a checkbox that goes with the resize. It says keep designated size.
Okay, if you check it on.
And there's 3 radio buttons. You pick one of them, crop, border, or absolute. So yeah, you can keep a specific size by checking the box and see it says keep designated size. It will not go out of proportion if you do that. Save borders. I guess that means if you have pictures you're inputting that already have borders. So it'll crop it, but not crop the borders off of it. And swap left and right. I guess that could come in handy if you've got a lot of pictures that somebody saved for cross viewing and you want them in parallel. You can do a batch alignment, go from one to the other. You can add text. I believe you're going to add all the same text to all the pictures though. I don't know how else you could do it. And the logo image is something I've not played with. It's been around a few years already. It's superimposing an image in that you cut out from something else into the stereo photos you're working on. Has anybody ever used that? And you can get your additional image from a green screen shot, which makes it easier to cut around it and copy it and place it in there.
I think originally they used that to add a watermark, but in one of the quick tip articles that I did, Masuji had shown how you could add an actual element from another photograph, like his was adding an angel into an image of some other things, and a little tiny angel, and you could actually set where it was in the stereo window and all kinds of things. So you can, if you go on our website in the SPM quick tips, there's 3 volumes of them, and there's something on the add logo image in one of those volumes.
Yeah, that angel you were talking about, that's the example in the online help files for add logo image. It's kind of like having an extra layer like Photoshop. So you could add something that you, before that item was in there, you couldn't do that. So, and the last item under edit is chroma depth conversion. That's 2D to 3D processing, correct? Anybody know? For use for a depth map?
I think it's for the chroma depth glasses, which emphasize, they bring the reds forward and leave the greens farther in the background. So it's a kind of an artificial 3D.
Yeah, you can take a 2D image and create a depth map and then use that to create the colors for that. The New York Stereo Club this past Saturday just had a presentation about chroma depth. I joined almost at the end, and one of the professors, the PhDs who helped develop this, was one of the speakers.
I tried to get on that New York meeting, but my link from the week before didn't work.
That's right, they had a new link, but he said he would be he recorded it, we'd be posting it sometime about midweek, so I missed most of it myself.
Yeah, it was fascinating. And I think it was that you could actually use the chroma depth functionality to generate a depth map, and then you could go ahead and use that to make a side-by-side pair. At least I thought that was somehow they were doing that, and I'd have to go back and reread the details.
So at the bottom is an output folder. Of course, you want to specify where you want
Have,
the batch alignments or batch whatever to go to. You can select some files and then
which version are you working off of?
what's the question?
I'm sorry, which version are you using? I have 528C, and I'm not seeing that chroma depth option.
Oh, it's 6.02.
Interesting. Yeah.
Okay, I haven't tried that one yet. I have it. I'll open it.
And supposedly the 64K version is the StereoPhoto Maker Pro, and they're saying they're equivalent now. I've heard some scuttlebutt that they may not be yet, but I've loaded it on my couple of my computers, and it seems to work so far. There's nothing flagrantly wrong with it.
I think multi-conversion from list is identical, except for you need a list. You have to call up a text file like what we use for our monthly competition images. So you don't have to pick out individual ones or go with a whole folder. You use a text list.
I use this multi-conversion a lot when I shot side-by-side cameras where one was inverted, you know, the Z setup, and you had to go through and invert one of them and put them together and align them and do all that. It was pretty handy to get a batch real quick.
Well, I shoot raw data and JPEG, and it will only do it to the JPEG. So,
yeah, I only shoot JPEG. So.
But I have a program that came with my Canon cameras where I could rotate all the raw images at once. Okay, the multi-rename. If you haven't used this before, well, you need to learn how to use it. Save you a lot of time if you're doing them one at a time. I think most people have some kind of a graphic program where they can multi-rename and are avoiding the tedious task of having to do them one at a time. You can add a letter, just add a L or add a R. You can delete the letter if it's in there and you don't want it. Exchange letters, L to R, R to L. I'm not sure how useful that is. What I've always used is the full rename, which is the bottom option in the multi-rename window. And you got 3 boxes. You put whatever you want in the first one and the third one, but it has to also include like .jpeg or whatever file type you're going with. And directly underneath it, it shows you what the file name is and what the file name is going to be changed to based on what you've got in the windows up above. The middle window is for sequencing. Normally you're going to sequence images 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. But if you want to do it in a different way, just even numbers or whatever, then you would change that step in the lower left-hand corner of this window. It's default as 1. If you change it to 2, then you're just going to get every other number. You can change it to 5s. But the only way that really would be really handy is if you're shooting with multiple cameras, and you can go every 5 numbers, let's say. Now you got plenty of room to fit in by time-wise or whatever way you want your images from different cameras. So you end up with one folder full of images, and you can get them in the order you want. Then you can do another batch rename and just do it by single numbers if you want.
I suppose if you were bracketing, that might also be useful, right? If you're doing +1, 0, -1 EV or white balance, and you decided that one particular setting was the best, so instead of processing them all.
You could do it that way, Bob. Otherwise, you're still going to have a unique number for each one if it saves all the images at different exposures. But found out something interesting. By default here, this was 0001. And earlier I changed it to 01, which is shown down below as you change it. If I put spaces after that, it puts zeros in front of it. I don't think it's necessary. If you want zeros, you put zeros. If you want a space in there, you would put it after your text in your first box. And then your bottom, I wish this would work at 200% on mine. You can also add spaces in your last one.
What is the _B? Is that a necessity?
The underscore, no. No, you don't actually have to have anything in there except .jpeg or whatever your file type is. That just gives you additional options, especially if you want to put a space, any spaces after the sequence number, then you would do it there.
Mm-hmm.
If you accidentally delete the .jpeg, you're going to get a bunch of files that just says data files and nothing can read it. So you may have to do it again. So, but it's handy that it's got the text shown directly below exactly what it's going to look like when you start to do this batch.
Rick, I have a comment here, if I can make it. Lee
Sure.
Pratt.
Go ahead, Lee.
That LNR is very important. I keep my left and right files in different folders. I have accidentally dropped right images on top of left images with the exact same name, and you lose images. You never will see them completely again.
Yeah, it's always good to put an L on your left and an R on the right, which I guess most of us keep in separate folders. I know I do. And I've developed a habit a long time ago, always download from my left camera first. That keeps it in order in my head. Then I know I haven't done the right yet. If I do the right first, I lost a whole left and didn't realize it for a long time, deleted pictures off the camera, and I had never downloaded the left folders, left camera pictures. So I always go left first, then right. So it's a known sequence to me.
I go left first also, but the problem with this program wanting to save where you save the last ones, unless you're very careful to tell it to save in the other folder, can be a problem.
Well, actually, the rename, I don't think you can pick another folder. It doesn't show you where it's going. So it's going to rename them right there in that folder. If you want to, you could make a duplicate of everything and have a second folder and then change them there and still keep your originals. But otherwise, it's going to change them right there in that same folder.
Right, but I'm getting them out of a different folder, and I want to put them back. I open the left folder, want to put them back in the left folder, then open the right folder, put them back in the right folder. And it seems like it wanted to put some of those Sprite ones into the left at one time on me. Whatever I did, I messed up.
I don't know how that happened, unless it was another program. Yeah, this is a duplicate folder, so I can go ahead. I'm going to click on rename all files. Well, this is not how I want to name it though.
Probably want your underscore left.
I put my left after the sequence number.
Yeah, but did you use the underscore left, or do you just use the left?
I use space and then left.
Ah.
So I've got 2018-09-24 underscore 01 space L. So if I click on rename all files, it should go pretty quick. It's telling me I'm renaming 48 files. Do you want to start? Yes. And just that fast, they're all renamed. You got to pay attention to how many files are in your folder. If you've got over 100, you better go to 3 digits.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
So
101 is going to.
how is it smart enough to know that you want to increment them? So you give it 0, 1, and then it from there it'll increment each one.
It might do it if I just put 1, but it's not going to fall into place. I want all the numbers to be 2-digit numbers.
Oh, right. But I mean, like, you don't want 48 files all named 0, 1.
No, they're not. They're
Right.
numbered from 1 to 48.
Yeah.
That's what
So, I
that
mean,
middle field is for, the one with the 0, 1 in it. That's the numbering field. And
okay.
and the line below it is the step field, which tells you if you want it to go 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 3, 5, 7, or something like that.
Oh, I see. You can change the step.
Right.
You could make it go 2, 4, 6, 8.
Right.
I've used it with an increment of 5 so that I could rearrange the photos in a particular folder, just by, now it says 1, 5, 10, and I can take number 10 and make it 02 and put it in a different place in the program.
Usually I'll start with 1, but the exception would be if I'm using 2 different cameras, say the Fuji W3 and along with my Canon twin rig, and shoot pictures of the same event, same day. Say I've gone, if the order doesn't really matter to me, I might go say 1 to 55 from one set of cameras. So I would change the number to 56 to renumber the other folder, and it would start at 56 and go 1 at a time. So then, because they're all going to be the same date, so I don't want duplicate numbers of the same date. So if I click rename all files right now, the first one would be 56 and then would continue on. I'm going to do that. So now they go from 56 to 103. So you got some flexibility there of, if you know you're going to rearrange them, like Dennis Green said, you change the step and leave gaps in there. If you don't leave gaps, now you got to rename everything, or you got to put something between 11 and 12. Now it's 11A, 11B, 11C. And they'll be in the right order, but it's just extra renaming, I guess. Are there any other questions or comments about the batch features of StereoPhoto Maker?
I have a question. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, I hear you, Bob. Go ahead.
So I do the same thing. I use a pair of Samsungs, and I have a folder for the left images, a folder for the right images. And maybe you showed it, but if you did, I missed it. Where would you be able to tell all my left images are here, take the first left image from this folder, join it with the first right image from that folder, and give me an MPO? How can you define the left and right folders for doing that? For multi-conversion.
You're calling up a left and right image for purposes of aligning it?
Well, just putting them together and making MPO, and maybe I have it auto align it, and then I go back and tweak it manually.
I'm not sure why you're going to do that in a batch, but
Yeah, when you do that in multi-conversion, the first thing that it asks you is what format they're in, side by side or independent left-right. If it's independent left-right, then it gives you an option to name the right folder. It's assuming you're starting with the left folder, and then you can put a different location for the right folder.
you're not talking about renaming, Bob, are you? Because that's what this window is, just a batch rename is all this does.
I understood that you were talking about the rename.
I'm not sure we answered your question, did we?
I think that Dennis Green did, because I was looking for some place to specify a left folder and then some place to specify a right folder. And he mentions if you, in the multi-conversions, back a couple steps from where you were, you pick independent.
Right.
And that left, right, he said their name by checking the box.
Notice the folder name has an L at the top, first letter.
Yeah, when Rick clicked on the radio button that said independent left right, then below that line there was a option, there was a box there to click for the right image folder. So currently he's in the left image folder, and once he clicks that right image folder checkbox, then he can navigate to a different folder for the right image.
Very good, thank you.
I have a question, guys.
All right, go ahead, Bob.
Either Dennis or Rick, probably not. I just shot some photos today with my Fuji W3, and I've been kind of like put the folders or the photos up on the screen and kind of following along, but it doesn't seem to work because there's no left and right separation. It just comes out as a well, Dennis, you probably know what I'm talking about. You don't see a left and a right image when you put up the Fuji images.
Right, because those images are side by side. So
yes,
you won't have a left and right. Now you could convert them to left and right and then do something different with them if you wanted to.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. I was just wondering how to batch edit off the Fuji. I mean, yeah, is there some different steps we have to take when you get down to the input file, like side by side, or?
Yeah, and that first line under the input file,
yeah,
if you're using the Fuji, you use side by side, and then you go down to the bottom and you decide what it is that you want to do in the batch. You know, whether you want to auto align the batch or resize
No,
it or whatever. You know, all the options are below the file type.
the
So you
Fuji's
don't-
going to output an MPO file, and it's not a side by side. It's an independent left and right. That's why 3D TVs can recognize it and automatically show it in 3D, because there's two files there.
So I wouldn't check side by side. I would check independent left and
Independent
right,
left, right.
and that's it.
For your input file, yeah, that's all you need.
Oh, you wouldn't check right image.
You wouldn't have
folder?
this right image folder here.
Okay, because I was following along with you, Rick, and I just went to convert all files, and nothing happened. It was kind of messed up. Yeah. The auto align, the adjust and all that I get, you know, in the output folders I get, but it was just that input file type. I wasn't sure what I would do with the Fuji.
Yeah, and an MPO can actually have more than two pictures in it, but we're used to two mainly because of the Fuji camera, and we could save it as two. Has anybody ever, by the way, aligned more than two pictures in StereoPhoto Maker at once?
Yeah, I think I have. I mean, I think I've done a batch or the multi-conversion doing the alignment of a group of files.
Not a group. I mean, if I click on open left right image, oh, maybe it's somewhere else. I thought there was a way of aligning multiple images at once. If you're going to have a lenticular print made, sometimes they'll have 30, 40 or more separate pictures to create that lenticular. I forget where it's at now. Oh, well, something to look for next week, I guess.
There's an item under edit for creating a lenticular, but I don't see where to align it there.
Okay, it says you can use max 10 images. So it will align 10 images at one time. I guess if you're getting lenticular prints made, they can align them for you. Just send them the prints, send them the digital images.
I might be wrong, but my impression of this menu item was not that it was going to align, but that it would take those images and divide them up so you could create your own lenticular if you buy the sheets that had the adhesive, or you apply the adhesive and bond them.
Well, Bob, it's necessary to align them if you want a good image, right?
Sure, but I don't see here where it says anything about alignment. So it's kind of an assumption that it's doing that. Right.
Can I say a couple of words?
Sure, Lee.
I normally use two cameras. So I'm taking pictures with two cameras. The left ones go in the left folder, the right in the right folder. I end up, say I'll take 100 pictures. One folder will have about 100, the other one might have 96 in it, because the cameras didn't always both fire. So I have to match those up and rename them So they have the same names, but left and right. Then once you do that, you can do auto conversion of the whole group. You tell it to pick the first one out of the left folder, the first out of the right folder. It'll align those and then automatically go to the second in the left, second in the right, and so on.
Right. Okay, there's another window here. Let's see. Well, I don't have the icon up here for it. Oh, I hate it when the icon's not there because then I don't know where it's at.
The hard part is going through and finding out exactly which left image matches with which right image and getting rid of the extra ones.
Well, I usually have an icon up here. This, ever since I went to version 6, sometimes my icons disappear.
Huh.
Oh, image file list. Okay, that was it. Usually I'll bring up the image file list when I'm doing what you're doing, Lee, to see how, if the left and rights match. And then you can click open another instance. So you can make one the left folder, one the right folder. And when you move them, they move at the same time.
Rick,
That's how you can match them up. Yes.
can StereoPhoto Maker take one image and generate, like, if you say this is the left side, can it generate the right for you?
No.
Oh,
You're talking about an automatic 2D to 3D conversion, Ed, and it won't do that.
that's okay. I was going to say, if you had an orphan, like what Lee was talking about, if you had an orphan picture on just the left side, it may save it if you could generate a right, but.
Thanks, Rick. I gotta run.
All right, Al. See you later.
Take care. See you next week.
Okay. This is normally what I do with my left and right images. And bring them up, a left folder, right folder. Right now, they're the same folder, but ordinarily the right folder would be on the right side. And then I could look through them. In fact, I like the big thumbnails much better. Yeah, there's 4 little black boxes with a white interior in the menu, or the toolbar at the top. 4 different size thumbnails. And the largest one, you can go into preferences and you can key in what size you want that to be, which is kind of nice. You can't do that in anything with Windows. So as I can either roll the mouse button, the wheel, or you can hit D on the keyboard for down and U for up, and both windows will move at the same time. And it's easy to find your pictures that don't match. They're going to match right up to a certain point, and first one that's missing in one of the folders becomes pretty evident. I think you can delete it from here. Maybe you're... Yeah, you can delete it right from there. So that's a good practice. I've often had one camera not fire, and I got a different number of pictures. It gets confusing when you're missing some from the left camera, but you're missing other ones from your right camera.
And you take about 5 images that are almost identical.
Yeah, then it gets to be a little bit more involved. Sometimes I have to actually see them in stereo to know if it matches or not. And I've deleted the wrong ones before and then had to go back to the camera, bring them back in, do it again. You've been there, Lee, done it before, huh?
Yes, I've done that.
All right, I'm gonna stop the share right now. Is there anything else in StereoPhoto Maker we could talk about right now? Any questions or?
Hey, Rick, I'd like to make one comment.
Okay.
You had said that for MPO files, if you're doing a multi-conversion, that you had to indicate they were independent left-right. I just converted a folder of MPO images to JPEG, and I didn't do that. I just indicated they were side by side, and when I
For the input?
Yep. And because it says files of type and it has JPEG and MPO on the same line in the input box. And then when I indicated what the input file was, I said side by side, chose a folder. And when I said the convert, it came up with a message, SPM will convert the two JPEG files and put them in file in folder such and such. So it looks at MPO files the same as it looks at JPEG files. You don't have to do that independent left-right. Matter of fact, I'm not even sure how you would do that, because independent left-right would be assuming that you have a L and an R at the end of the image that SPM would be looking for to be able to put the two images together. And it usually asks you whether the L image with this title goes with the R image of the same title. At least it does when I do left and right conversions. But try it, sometime. Try just converting a folder or just a few images of MPO files into a different folder, and use the side-by-side radio button instead of the independent left-right. I think you'll find that it works just as well and maybe less confusing.
All right. Well, I was looking in the help files yesterday. Maybe it wasn't the batch alignment. Maybe it was something else, but it stated that MPO files are independent left-right. So I don't remember what the purpose was. I'll have to go through it again and see if I can find it. Thanks for your input, Dennis. Anybody else have a question?
This is a silly question. What does MPO stand for?
Multi-picture object.
Oh, so it's like left and right combined in the same file?
Right. It's actually two pictures. If you save a stereo pair as a JPEG, that's a single JPEG now with two pictures in it. But a 3D TV does not recognize it as stereo. It sees a single JPEG.
Oh.
That's why when you bring it up, then you got to hit 3D button on your remote and tell it it's side by side, and then it'll show it to you in stereo. But you have to do that every time you advance to the next one. That's why JPEGs are not a good slideshow on a 3D TV.
Like Dennis, I've always used my MPO, treated them as side by side, and they work that way in my software. Whether it's this program or other programs, it recognizes the MPO as a side by side.
Good. Thanks, Jerry. Now, as Rick said, an MPO isn't necessarily just 2 images. It could be multiple images. That's what the name actually stands for, multiple image object or multi-image object. So, or no, multi-picture object. So, so you can't assume that it is a left and right. It might, I don't know what it would do with a if you had 3 or 4 images, maybe it treats it like a lenticular and aligns them left, center, right. I don't know if you had 4 of them. Be interesting to see.
I think if you go to Wikipedia online and you read about MPOs, it doesn't necessarily have to be a stereo image in there, as long as it's multiple files. And it's wrapped up in a single file as an MPO, but it could be multiple images in there.
I think one
I
additional
don't even know if
use,
it has to be an image, whether it could be other kind of files.
well,
It's been a long time since I read about it, but
it does say multi-picture object, so it probably is images.
okay.
But I know one use of an MPO file is for a sequential set. There are, cameras that will, like a burst mode or something like that. You could do a whole bunch of images and put them in a single file, and then have a program, like I think GIF images will allow you to do a sequential, it's almost like a small video
Right.
file that has multiple pictures in it.
Okay. Was there anything else we could talk about?
I have an announcement.
All right, Lee.
Tomorrow night is the LA 3D Club program, and they are changing from GoToMeeting, which they have been using for several times, to Zoom. So if you watch that, you'll have to tune in a different way. I have a message from Lawrence Kaufman telling about that if anybody wants me to send it to them.
Is it a link or what's in the message?
I think it has the link, the time, and so on.
Okay. There was, yeah, I think Lawrence put that on 3D forum, 3D photo forum.
Yes, he did.
So I have to go back to that because I didn't save the link yet, but. See a nice picture of Al Perry's living room, I guess. Al ordered one of those polarizing modulators, like I got from China. Lee got 3 of them last year from the same source. And then we went through a whole lot of trouble. I think a lot of it had to do with the COVID-19 and people being away from work for a while. It took Al months to make contact and to get it ordered. He's got it ordered now and it's being shipped in about a week, or he should have it in about a week. So,
Yeah, and Al knows his way around China.
yeah, 6 years there.
Yeah.
Al, you indicated that 10X modulator would be discontinued. You hearing us, Al? You're muted, so if you want to talk, unmute or hold the space bar.
Yeah, they got 9 left, and they were not. She didn't get allowed to ding me for $300 tariff. Fortunately, my old secretary got through to her. $315 to my door.
So the $300 that she quoted earlier for delivery, that was an addition to the cost of the item?
$220 for the unipolar, $80 shipping.
If you would have shipped it without your secretary getting involved.
It didn't make any difference because my secretary told her that we don't pay tariffs here. That's on their end. So that was the end of that conversation. I don't know what Sue was thinking of. Give her A for effort.
I don't know. They're really not supposed to charge you for the PayPal charge. That's supposed to be the seller.
Yep, I got dinged $15, but you know what? After what I went through, I just wanted to get it done.
Well, when I bought the spare one for our club, Sue had put the extra charge on there for PayPal, and I ended up going with another associate of hers to actually get the sale at a lower price, and then I didn't have to pay for that PayPal.
Well, I thought for $220 for the unit, it was an equitable trade-off rather than $250 for the unit plus $80 for shipping.
Yeah, you
It's
should have taken.
slowly coming together.
Yeah, you should have taken Lee's advice and bought one of everything that was on that page so you could test it for us. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, all those that my secretary sent me are high-end, new generation, and I think that's what Sue was saying, that she has others, but as she communicated, they're more expensive.
Yeah.
And as everybody's been pretty happy with the Unipolar 10X, yeah, I mean, I'm not running a IMAX theater down here, so it was applicable. It'll work.
Yeah, I saw a question that I wanted. What does a modulator do? Some of us aren't all up as far as you guys.
Well, I'm not either. I'm going to turn that over to Rick or Lee or Dennis.
Well, when I set up the projector at the meetings, I got a single projector, not two of them, like we always used to have. And it's a 3D projector, and it shows it, without the modulator, it shows it as active glasses only. Well, since we have passive glasses in the club, you don't want to go active glasses for everybody. We got that modulator, and it changes the signal to where you can see it with passive glasses.
Oh, I think I remember that it alternates. It gives you the right, left, right, left, right, left.
Well, that's what the active glasses do. With passive glasses, your left and right are up there at the same time in every other line.
Yeah, but that's
I
thought, so what the modulator does is it projects the left polarized and it projects the right polarized, and your eyes, it does it fast enough so your left eye sees what it's supposed to see and the right eye sees what it's supposed to see because it's polarized. Is that right?
Well, the simple answer is you can use it with passive glasses instead of active glasses.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know all the technical aspects of how it does it.
Okay.
But it works.
Well, can you take an active TV and use that modulator on it?
I don't believe so. Because with the projector is shining light through it, and it's synchronized to the projector, where there's no way to connect it to a TV set, I don't believe.
Rick, you also may want to tell anybody that if they don't get the Optima 26, and as our condo bought the ViewSonic, I don't have the 3D output, but I got the old VGA, which is an option that Unipolar will send you the cable for that as well.
Right.
You know, we went through hoops on that.
Yeah, that's standard to send that cable. I've got one, but I've never used it. Lee's got it too. So I haven't heard from Jay in a long time, Barb, about getting a projector set up like that.
I don't know what they're doing. They haven't made any decisions. That's out of my hands because I'm not the technical person. It's up to those guys what they want to do. So.
Did Jay replace one of his projectors? Because he was having trouble with it like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think they did replace it. We're using 2 projectors, so he must have replaced it. And I think they're not perfectly identical. I think there's something minor off on them, but they seem to work fine projecting the 2 images. We can see fine in 3D.
Well, since he bought a projector to replace the one, I don't think he's going to push them both aside and buy another projector to need the modulator. So they're just so difficult to get a hold of. And if they stop making the reasonable cost one and you have to pay for a cinema grade one, well, clubs aren't going to want to do that. It might cost 3 times what the projector cost.
Well, they talked about getting the modulator 6 months ago or whatever, and they just kind of dropped it.
Okay.
Now would be a good time to get it because Al just is got his own order and we know how to do it right now.
Yep.
I'll send Jay an email, see if he still has any interest or not.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey, Barb, while I got you on the line, in our last meeting, you said that you had submitted the information for the Detroit exhibition. I have not gotten anything to send a PayPal payment to, so I have not sent one yet.
Right, because I did the application, and then I sent our draft copy of the. It doesn't have all the information. It doesn't have the judges or the exhibition number on it. Those are the 2 main things that was missing. Once they approve the entry form and the judges and stuff, then they'll send me the information on how to pay and who to pay and what to pay. So
Okay,
we're okay right now.
Just wanted to make sure that I wasn't holding anything up.
Nope. I will make sure you get the information as soon as I do. What was his name? Is it Randy? No. So I can't think of his name now that I was dealing with. Something like Randy Carr or something.
I think